I'm being guided to record this video is kind of a prerequisite explanation before watching all the other videos on this channel, um, to clarify the notions and the source of um, the information that is actually coming out of my mouth and coming out of this body in form. But might not be completely credited to me. So I'll do my best to describe it, and I'll do my best to make it apparent and obvious of its working, and then hopefully the rest of the videos will make more sense. As I'm trying to formulate this myself in my head. So bear with me while it all comes out. So the videos themselves look like and function like a monologue, just like me speaking to you right now. But when, in fact, they're channeled formats of my conversation that is actually being transmitted through me as I speak. By channeled, most of you probably already know, but it is in fact a partial turn off of my own thought process and my own cognitive processing, and then allowing the voice of beyond, which I'll go to discussions to identifying that, to just simply come through me. So my thoughts are not formulated per se in my own mind and in your own mind, and then you're acting as a tool to transmit this message out, and whatever it might be. And I think all of us at some point go into some form of channeling without realizing that we ourselves are might not necessarily be in charge of all of our faculties. But once you start to realize and quantify the difference between yourself emitting speech and the difference between speech being emitted out of you, you'll start to finite that difference between the two. So with me, how the channeling works, I'm in fact channeling right now, right? So the words that are coming out of my mouth are in fact being propagated from elsewhere as an information a chunk, and then I'm somehow running them through the filter of vocabulary words that I have at my disposal, and then those words are then emitted out of my mouth. It functions as a thought. Some people call it like chunks of information. I can't relate to it being a chunk, but I can relate to it being a feed. I don't know if that is just a irrelevant difference, or if that is something that is important. But yes, it is not a chunk to me. It is a ongoing feed that I would then basically be able to tune into and then propagate out of my mouth. Even though it looks like a monologue, because my mind is cognitively tuned in and is attempting to think about what is coming out of my mouth, I automatically ask questions. I ask humanoid questions that would raise awareness, or at least help me formulate of what they actually mean and what they actually are trying to say, or what questions I would have based on what is coming out of my mouth. So then my brain automatically asks that thought, and then usually anything that follows post that thought formulation, it gets further channeled out and propagated out as an answer, even though to you in all of the videos that I do, it does not look like a question and answer format. So I hope that helps it explain of like my pauses a lot of times are actually this back and forth formulation. My my switches and patterns of speech are usually back and forth formulations, and even the way I speak right now is actually not the way I speak in real life. The the laugh that is coming out right now is in fact altered by the duality and the nature of my thinking. So I know that's also weird. It is all weird to me, but I wanted to clarify and I wanted to showcase what these videos actually are, without, because I think without context of their true nature, they might be lost on, what the importance of the fact that they're channeled, as opposed to the fact that they're coming out of what seems to be my being. So, what else to address? Where are they coming from? I think that is probably the most obvious question here. I hate to draw conclusions as a being of body myself, but I am tuned in into something that is able to channel the knowledge of the source, and in fact might be the source of the knowledge. I don't know what that means. I don't know how to quantify that. I don't know what term to even use or to allow myself to use in order to be able to safely say this is who I'm channeling. But the information that is coming out into these video logs, into the blogs that I write on the Word of Change, and into the book that I'm writing right now, are all coming from the most loving, the most complete entity, if I had to use the word, but I think that is an understatement. But consciousness, maybe, because that is a word that we are using as a society right now. Um, and and the source of the divinity of us all. So even though it is coming from elsewhere, I actually see the connection of that information and that speech and that pattern within me. I'm able to relate on the most exhilarating level, in the most loving and in the most caring of ways. And when channeling through them and channeling through the format of their understanding and their conscious carrying of thy beings, you can't help but feel love. So I feel that. I hope it comes through. I really hope it comes through. In essence, me writing the articles and me writing the book and me writing, or and me doing this video is all there in hopes of being able to relate the love that I feel, whenever they so kindly communicate through me. So that is the who. Hopefully, it answers somewhat of the who. I'm hoping through time I'll be able to solidify that answer a little bit more, but for now, I think I would leave it at that. Um, um, what else can I possibly answer here? The why. The why, I think, is because the message needs to be heard. Um, the message of them needs to resonate out into this world. And so just to clarify, I'm going into a full channel now and allow the humanity to propagate themselves forth in the world of light they belong to be in. The humanity is there to be awakened to their full reality of potential, and that is the why. That is the answer behind the channel. That is the answer behind the writing, and then there's the answer behind everything that will come forth from this source and all sources of forward. Okay, and so hopefully you'll notice the difference of how that flows. How do I do it? Again, hard to formulate. Don't know exactly how this works. But in essence, I have realized that I'm simply able to shut off my brain. I'm able to shut off the filtering, cognitive processing of my thought, and allow them, the source of them, to just simply flow through me. Through the last 4 years of adjusting or practicing or calibrating or trying to understand, I've basically come to where I am right now. I think it will continue to change, and I think it will continue to morph into something else, but this is where I am. And so hopefully this video is a good snapshot of where I am about 4 years into this process. And by this process, I actually mean starting from scratch, of someone knocking on the door going, "Hello, we would like you to acknowledge this." And this is simply the awakening into the divine notions of ourselves. Um, Not even, having said this 4 years later, not realizing 4 years ago what that meant. So that is a totally different video, um, but realizing your full potential, the channel is basically your true connection to your divinity, your true connection to your true form, and everything you practice in this world that is out of ordinary, or is not common, or is not the status quo of life, is in fact somehow touching on that self, or on that version of divinity. So I don't know what question that is answering right now, but I'm just kind of mumbling on that. And what else? Um, the why me? I have asked that question many times. I'm still in the process of asking that question. I don't have the answer to that. I think I will soon. But for now, the only thing I can formulate is that at some point when I came into this form, um, I chose not to, or came with a specific purpose of not cutting the this form away from the notions of the true being of all of us. So when we all come in, the us that is you today, that is you of today, that is listening to this message right now, is actually part of the network of consciousness that is the oneness of us all. So I know that term is being thrown out there a lot, but basically what that means is that being that comes forth into this world is actually the being that is one with the consciousness that I'm channeling right now. And then through the processes that I actually touch on and explain in the book, that they're very kindly allowing me to elaborate on, we choose to shut that off for, I don't know, whatever reason. It's either a life choice, or path choice, or simply the path of Earth 2.0. And so at some point in my life, or at the point of entry, I chose not to sever that cord. And those of you who are listening who can formulate what that means, or understand what that means, who are feeling the cord of connection, and I say the cord, I don't actually know if it is an actual cord, or if it's just, just my etheric connection. However that formulates or presents itself this world, I think that is basically why me is. I chose not to separate. I kept it connected, even though my life is completely normal, in a sense that, I am born, I go through the heartaches of being a human being. I'm married, I have children, I have a career. But at some point 4 years ago, Port of Awakening, I was reminded that that cord is still there, and that connection has never left. And now it is time to reawaken that point of myself. So just like everyone else at some point reawakens a point of themselves that they have always known that they had, so am I reawakening this connection. So maybe in essence, the self-reawakening is in fact just restabilizing of this connection. I think the book does a very good job at explaining that. Hopefully that will come out soon. That is the human portion of me that is talking, of course. But that is kind of the essence of why me. Simply because I'm listening. I think that's all it is. And yeah, so the videos on this page, and then the articles that you read, are in no form coming from me, other than they're coming through my form. And then the videos themselves, and and the writing is a dualistic expression of a conversation in a monologue form. Hope that makes sense. So I am actively asking, they're actively answering without the question and answer format. And once in a while, I notice myself typing an answer because at times I think they feel like that question needs to be in the passage in order to be identified as an answer. And so you will notice those parts, and that's what those question marks are. Is usually me going, "Well, wow, right, a what?" In my naive state of being, and then of course they kindly reward my statement of the question, and then presented itself in the most unique and most loving way. So I thank you for watching this, and I thank you for reading the articles, and I thank you for engaging, and I hope they're making a difference in some way. Or if nothing else, I hope it allows you to see the connection that you already have within, um, to the source that I already touched, and to the source that you already touched, but you might not be able to formulate it just yet. So keep on reading, keep on listening. If not from me, from thousands of other people who are out there doing the exact same thing I am, just in a different way. So you will resonate with someone who does the same thing that I do, who might not be able to formulate it in this particular way, but maybe they'll be able to formulate it in a way better than I can. But keep on chugging along, because in essence, you're here because you're hearing the call, but you might not yet know of who or what. But this might be a small glimpse into what that could call be. So much love.